Deep in a leafy grove live the clever animals of Hazel Village, happy and free. With perky ears, they listen to the sweet sounds of their forest home. With nimble paws, they make nice presents for their friends.
So I have to ask, before we talk about Reginald, why were the foxes redesigned?
So.
Wait, do I have brownies on my teeth?
No, I don't think so. I think you're good.
Do you remember which fox you designed first? Like way back when?
It was like a girl fox, actually. But it wasn't Flora. I think her name might have been Daphne. I forget though. But yeah, she was like kind of tan because I couldn't get foxy orange. And I don't think she had any like white details. She was just plain tan. On Etsy, it's like maybe the fourth animal or so I made. Once it was Owen. Owen was the first one that was like a character today. Oh, was it Owen? Was it Flora? Flora? I don't remember. It was either Owen or Flora. But once Owen was a guy, then he was like very, very popular. And because he had like a tailcoat, he always had a tailcoat. And yeah, he was very dapper.
So for a very long time, a lot of the animals had the same like base look or like same base doll. So the foxes all were the same base doll. Reginald and Owen had the same ear linings even, and then Flora had different ear linings. At some point we changed their ear linings to differentiate them. And it was the same case for a lot of the other animals like the toads. And the owls. And so we started with the toads, was that in 2022 or 2023? We changed their designs, and then we changed Lucy Owl's design, and then we received a lot of feedback over the years about how people felt about the foxes. And Jane, the designer, so it's coming straight from the source, had said, you know, if I redesigned them now, they would look different, and I would do it differently because she started the company.
Like 16 years later, you know, every artist's work evolves over time like that, so it makes a lot of sense.
And a lot of people just didn't like the foxes, which is totally fine. You're allowed to not like a design. But we were excited that now that we have access to these really talented artisans who can make more advanced, complicated patterns, and we have the ability to have 3 different foxes, where I don't think we had that production capability for a very long time.
Keeping our permanent animals in stock is very different than making like visitor animals because we have to be able to like constantly have them on a rolling restock basis. So it is, as you can imagine, it's more complicated to have 3 different styles of something than to have them all be the same.
Their tail, the profile of their tail used to be kind of feathery, right? Which was like harder to make. Yeah, I changed that like by the time we were like selling wholesale. There was their tails were as you see them now, or as they were for a long time, and now of course some of them are recolored a little.
We decided that it was time to start redesigning them, and Owen came first, and he came with a dandy collection. And what was also really exciting is as we were designing them, I feel like we got to know them in a way that we have not gotten to know the foxes before. So like all of us feel like we know each individual fox and they have their personalities, especially Reginald because he happens to be coming with a whole book. So like right now, if you ask Jane who her favorite animal is, she will say Reginald.
Since I've started the village, I've gotten more and more into gardening. So in that way, I feel closer to Reginald and his garden situation. So yeah, I don't know, his book came easy.
Owen has these black tipped ears and Sherpa tail, Sherpa cheeks. Those are his special details. And he has an all rust tummy. And then Flora came next, also with her own collection, which was about like
her methods and ways.
And her like Flora, I would say, has maybe more like sort of eclectic interests.
She has like eclectic interests, but she's also like the most meticulous, I would say, of all the animals.
Yes.
So if you sort of, what was it? Oh, it was when we were working on Turtle Society, I asked Jane which of the animals would be least into Turtle Society. And Jane said probably Flora because she doesn't like how inefficient they are.
Yeah, in case you don't know, Turtle Society involves in all ways channeling and honoring the energy of turtles, which involves doing things slowly. And Flora likes to,
efficiency.
work at a steady pace.
She has her methods and ways.
She has her methods and ways.
So she came out in January, right? January
February,
2026.
yeah, something around there.
Owen was October-ish of last year.
With his fancy dancing. We didn't say Owen's big thing is that he loves to dance. So
and he has a secret treehouse.
Fancy dancing in his secret treehouse.
How secret the treehouse is, though.
It's secret even though his friends know about it, which I think is very, like, realistic, It's like, they're in on the secret together, doesn't mean it's not a secret.
Yeah. And then now it is August. This took a lot longer than we were hoping it would, but now Reginald is finally here with his new look. And honestly, Reginald was the one that when we first came up with the designs, were like, oh, he's really cute.
He was the first one. Like,
was he the first one?
Yeah, we started with him because I think we were originally planning to make his change first, and then I don't think the book was in the works at the time. A lot of things changed. This was like 2 years ago?
2 years ago, probably.
At least. But yeah, he was the first one that got a redesign, and so the first like new version of this Hazel Village fox that we fell in love with. And yeah, he's got a brown tipped tail and ears, and he's got an all white tummy in contrast with Flora and Owen. And he has this like simple triangle of white like Owen, but without the Sherpa fuzzy cheeks. And Flora has the straight across. So they're all still very like, similar. They still are Hazel Village foxes together in their particular way, but they each have little details that make them special and set their character apart.
Yeah, like Owen having the Sherpa, I feel like gives him like a personality he had never had before.
Big time. Oh, Flora also has socks.
Oh, Flora does have socks. I forgot about her socks.
That's really important. I love children's books and I love storybook illustration. It's very magical to me, and it's obviously something with a long and rich history, so it's really fun to be part of a beautiful children's book.
Jane,
together.
we always start the process with Jane doing a storyboard. I was going to say storybook. I was like, that's not right.
Storyboard.
She does a storyboard with little thumbnails of each of the pages. And then it's really fun to see her come in and be like, oh, this is a thumbnail that we saw of Reginald with the snails. And then suddenly it's big.
And when Raquel says thumbnail, Jane is a very analog artist for the most part. And so her storyboard was, how many pages is this book? Like 30, I think it was like 40 pieces of paper this big.
Tiny pieces
with
of
sketches
paper.
on them and like sketched or working versions of what ended up being the final text, taped to like a piece of burlap paper like this, not burlap, but a piece of like brown paper like this.
Yeah.
Tall. So it was like this huge piece of like crumpled paper with all of these tiny cards all over it. And that's what became this beautiful book.
Yeah, and I think that's part of my favorite part is like every single time we're like brought new work, and then I do all of, basically my role is putting the book together, scanning the pages, and then editing them, and then compiling everything. And so the meticulous work of like editing things together is really nice.
I had just started working here when you guys were doing the Gifts of the Year, so I wasn't on book team yet at that point. But that was also fully Jane project, and now the World of Hazel Village design is shared by Jane and Sarah. So this book is Jane's vision and Jane's story and everything, but because Sarah is such a talented artist, she is able to really, add her beautiful touch to make it even more special.
And the way that they've like learned to work and draw and paint together has been really nice. So a lot of the time, like Jane does all of the drawings and paintings of like an animal, and then Sarah will come in and like do the foliage.
Yeah.
And like
Sarah did like all of the end papers that are all the little like beautiful little things. I would say for Garden Treasures, it's more, you can see Sarah's work in a lot of the smaller touches like these beautiful snails on the kale is Sarah. And Jane was more kind of doing most of the spreads. And in our next book, which I will not say the title of because it's still a secret. The next book that is going to be coming out in the fall is more like what Raquel described, where it's a lot of Jane mapping out the scene and drawing the figures, and Sarah adding like rich detail to the scenery and continuing to do beautiful little artwork of the objects and the things that they eat and all of those wonderful things. So it's a beautiful partnership.
Drawing like masses of plants is it's always kind of daunting. Like, oh, you know, just like all this kale and all these carrot greens before I started it. I always think like, wow, this is too much work. But I think it paid off. Yeah. I think a lot of pages of complicated plant life. This one, I'm really pleased with this one.
It's a good one.
I was a fox hater before this. I'll say it. I never particularly cared for them. I didn't hate them.
No, they
were just never on my list of my favorite Hazel Village animals, and now I'm fully Team Fox. I love them.
I would agree. I would say that I just never had a particular fondness for them before. I was like, that's the foxes, they're chill, but now they're all so special, you know? And like you were saying earlier, their sense of character is so strong, and I feel like I can't, because there was, you know, you could make a case for why does Hazel Village have 3 permanent foxes? Like they're the only animal that we have 3 of. The most we have of any other type of animal is 2.
We have.
Don't we have like
5 bunnies?
No, but that previously that matched. We never had.
Yes.
That's true. We have lots of bunnies, but like Zoe and Lucas are like a pair. They're
Emma and Penelope and then Julia.
Are a pair.
Okay.
We haven't had any like trios apart from the foxes, and so I'm sure you could easily be like, well, maybe you just don't need 3 foxes, but the way that we approach the brand, it's very story first, and these 3 are each,
and we did, which like we're
characters.
appalled that we did this, but when we were kind of in a different place with how we felt about the lore, we did briefly retire.
I think it was Owen. But
Which is insane to think that we did that. It's insane to think about
now. That was like 5 years ago. And lore was always a huge part of Hazel Village, but we've especially leaned into it in the past kind of 5 years. And now we would never even think about retiring one of the animals because they're residents. They live here.
I want to clarify that Owen was retired for like 2 minutes until someone noticed and typed "Where's Owen" on the website, and then
we were like, no, we don't want to do that.
This is Maddie's personal Owen, but
Owen is my favorite, by the way. I love him very much.
Yeah,
and Owen and Reginald are cousins. Fun fact.
They are. Flora, no relation.
No relation.
Don't know. That's her business. Oh, should we show our favorite pages?
Yeah. Well, I think our favorite pages might be the same.
Are they both this page?
I think it is. Second favorite.
This one, it's the last page in the book, so spoilers, but it's just Reginald sitting on his porch in the dark and crickety night, and you can see the lantern, and he's eating a little pie, and he's got a mug of tea, and it's just very peaceful and cozy.
This one became my favorite when I was editing it. It wasn't my favorite before.
And it's tough because it's up against all this beautiful nature, which is really like the heart of the story and incredible, but there's just something very peaceful about it.
And one thing this is a detail that shows up, and I think about it because I edited those dots to be perfect, but every single animal's stoop has a little box that has their initials on it. So like Catalina's shows up elsewhere.
Yeah, this says RF. Catalina's has.
But this is Arthur Kale, and Arthur Kale is an excellent page. Arthur Kale is probably my second favorite page.
I want to be there.
It just seems like a wonderful luncheon.
Yeah, it just seems like they're having the best time, and I love a tea time scene, even though really they're having lunch. But I think there's tea.
We also, Lily discovered when she was writing the copy that the vest that you can purchase with this collection, Reginald's, is it his luncheon vest?
It's called the Snails and the Kale vest, which is a reference to the book.
But we thought that it was in many pages. It's on 2 pages.
It's on 2 pages.
He wears it for lunch and then he takes it off.
Yeah, when he goes to have lunch with Lewis and Gwendolyn, he puts on his nice vest over his gardening outfit because,
For lunch.
Presentable.
I'm really happy about this book.
Oh my god, it's awesome. Yay! Thanks for sharing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for reading the book.
Currently rocking his babushka
Looks
neckerchief.
so good.
Designed as a neckerchief, works multi-use fashion accessory.
And like good for like wiping the sweat on your brow.
Keeping the back of your neck cool.
Oh, that's
from the
true.
sun, looking cute.
Also fashion.
Fashion.